Before I even begin, I'm going to answer the question I know everyone's going to ask. Why the fuck should we care about a crime that happened 25 years ago? And yes, I'm talking about the horrendous murder of Jonbenét Ramsey, little 6-year-old Jonbenét Ramsey in Boulder, Colorado. This video is not going to focus on her murder or really even talk about her that much. It's a shame to the overall human mental development that there are still people out there that are Team Ramsey. And that fact just goes to show how much the media influences what people think about things, and also just how easily people are fooled by very evil, guilty people. And a huge part of the reason why people are so easily fooled is because of the perceived perception of what people are and who they are and what they have and what kind of person they must be, based largely in part to their appearance and their public appearance. And it's about time for us to stop judging people by what they look like and stop judging books by their covers, because most things in this life are not what they seem. And if there's seriously people still that do not believe that there's sick, depraved, evil people in the world, then you need to wake the fuck up. But I'm not your mother, so that's not what's gonna happen in this video. What I'm going to do in this video is I'm not just going to regurgitate the same old thing that everybody already knows about the case and just keep perpetuating this bullshit fucking cover story that everybody knows. That's not what I'm going to do, because Lord knows there's plenty of those videos online. What I'm going to do is simply go through a list that I have comprised of things that either I haven't really heard many other videos talk about or point out that are really sketchy and or wrong or fucked up or whatever. And then also I'm going to be pointing out things that prove that yes, her parents are guilty in some way. Like, I have not come to a definitive decision yet if I think either one were the murdering hand. But I do know that they know who did it, and so does Burke. They may have even seen who did it or when it was happening. So they're guilty. They are very, very guilty. I'm not so sure that either one of them took her life, if you get my gist. So that's just what we're going to go through. There's quite a few of them. They're not in any specific order about importance or, nothing about dates, nothing. They're just in the order that they came to my mind. So we're going to go through them one by one. So I think the first one that I'm going to point out is the mainstream theory, the mainstream accepted opinion about this is that the grand jury were not able to come to a decision. That is absolute bullshit. They did come to a decision, and they wanted to indict both of the Ramseys on charges of like child abuse and child endangerment and stuff like that. So they weren't saying that they believed that there was enough evidence that they killed their daughter, but they did pull up enough evidence that they wanted to indict both of them for child abuse and neglect and endangerment. But District Attorney at the time, Alex Hunter, would not sign the legal document that was necessary to indict them. So it's his fault. The second thing that I'm going to bring up is the set of shoe prints found next to her body. Now, everyone is well aware of the shoe print that said high tech, because everyone was saying, oh, well, police officers wear that, blah, blah, blah. Well, there were actually 2 sets of shoe prints. The other set that nobody really hears about, but it was told to the public in one of the earlier broadcasts on the local news station, the other shoe was an SAS shoe print. Many people will know of these shoes because they are old people's shoes. Only old people wear them, or like nurses, really. But this was a pair of male shoes, pictured here. So that's kind of awkward, because I felt that if that would have been more stressed upon and more talked about instead of just focusing on only one set of the prints, that would have narrowed down the list of suspects. Number 3 is the supposed heart drawn on the palm of her hand. Now, in this picture you see here, there's different colors, if you will. These are not drawn. If you look close enough, these are carved into her hand with the tip of a very sharp knife or pair of scissors. But that is definitely carved. I know because I've had friends who used to cut themselves, and that's how they would cut themselves, was with the tip of the blade as to not like slice themselves open a lot, and it looked exactly like this. The fourth thing that I'm going to point out is the fact that John carried her up the stairs after finding her body in the most awkward way that anyone could carry a child, especially a child that is theirs. It is very removed from the whole situation. It's very cold, and it definitely has a lot of suspicion around it because he's holding it away from his body like it's a dang fucking mannequin or something. But that's not the way a father would carry his daughter after just discovering her body for the first time, giving off the impression that he has already seen her like this in this state before. Number 5 is going to be Santa's secret. Now, I want to know what the fuck Mick Reynolds, meant by that he had a special surprise for Jonbenét after Christmas. The fact that that was never questioned or inquired about is fucking ridiculous. Like, I don't care if the man is innocent. The fact that that was said needs to be explained. Like, okay, what was your surprise for Jonbenét? And like, we know that that was her Santa. So he's the one that we should have asked. But unfortunately, he's dead now. So we do not have that chance. Number 6, I haven't found anything that explains why there wasn't a lot of blood with her head wound. In fact, her skull, her skin on her head wasn't even broken. That part I don't get. I don't understand that. But the reason why there was no blood was because of the strangulation. That cut off the circulation to her head. So that shows that there was strangulation going on before she was struck in the head. How that is not obvious to people, I don't know. It does not explain how her head skin wasn't broken, but that explains why there wasn't a lot of blood. So number 7 is how Patsy Ramsey was stated as saying that Father Roll Hoverstock, I don't know how to say it exactly correct, got there shortly after Jonbenét's body was found. That's what Patsy claimed, but the official police report states that Father Roll Hooverstock arrived at the Ramseys' residence shortly after the 911 call, which is at least 5.5 hours difference. So I'm going to go with the police report since they're professionals and believe that he got there then. Actually, Patsy stated that Father Hooverstock arrived after Burke left, after Jonbenét's body was found. Number 8 is going to be how it's not really talked about that John Fernie actually searched the basement by himself before Fleet White did. And that's not really talked about, which is, I think, important. But the Fernies have always and still remain to keep a very, very low profile. Number 9 is going to be how when the police and investigators first arrived to the Ramseys' house, Jonbenét's pediatrician was there, but Patsy told them that that was their family doctor. It was only found out later that he was strictly Jonbenét's pediatrician, but it was found out that he was supplying Patsy with Valium even on the day that it was reported as a kidnapping. Oh, I found that very strange. Like, why is your 6-year-old daughter's pediatrician supplying you with Valium? Number 10 is going to be something that I think says a lot about Patsy's mental stability. When she first went through her spout with ovarian cancer and she started her chemotherapy, she lost a lot of her hair. Well, not long after she lost most of her hair, she cut Jonbenét's hair really, really, really short. And one of the photographers that took these pictures asked her what happened, and she claimed that Jonbenét was giving her too much trouble when she was trying to brush her hair, so she just got frustrated and cut it. But the lady said that she remembers Jonbenét being very good and not tender-headed. So I think that shows that Patsy was like jealous that her daughter still had her hair, or she was just taking it out on Jonbenét by cutting her hair super short. Just a thought. Number 11 is going to be about the bondage Barbies that were left on the Ramsey's driveway a couple days after it was discovered that she had been murdered. This is something that was not widely talked about, and most people would say something to the effect of, well, it wasn't talked about because it wasn't important to the case. Well, I beg to differ, and this is why. So, focusing on these bottom 3 pictures here, see how she's wrapped in multiple spots and she's kind of held backwards in like a banana shape? Also, how there's more wrapping around her neck and shoulders, as well as a longer cord that's connecting her neck to her arms, to her legs. Now, forgive me, but I want us to take a look at this picture here. See, at the base of her neck, almost on her shoulders, the top of her shoulders, there's more horizontal lines. I believe that's because there was more wrapping around this part of her body, that she was bound also on this part of her body. These marks were not made from her clothes or the body bag or anything like that. These were made before she died, so pre-mortem, I believe. There's probably a technical word for it, but not post-mortem. And I believe they were more wrappings, more cord around this part. There's also, like, number 12, which we're going to get into, relates to number 11 because I feel like they support each other. So let's just jump right into number 12. So for number 12, we're actually going to refer back to the bondage Barbie pictures. The reason why I pointed out how she's in like a banana shape being pulled backwards is because the urine stains on the pants and underwear she was found in are not normal stains. They're not in a normal area. The kid wasn't laying down, nor were they standing up. It's all centered in the front of the crotch of the pants. And I feel like it's because she was in this position, suspended somehow, maybe from the longer cord, and so she was in that cup shape with her pelvis being the closest to the ground, and that's why the stains are right there on the pants, because she was being held in this position. Number 13 is going to be something that I think is sort of a quasi-confession from Patsy. And no, I'm not talking about the ransom note. I'm talking about in an interview. So I'm just going to play the clip and then I'll describe what I think about it.
Like there are at least 2 people on the face of this earth that know who did this. And that is the killer and someone that person may have confided in.
So there's a few times that I feel in different interviews that Patsy is showing true emotion. Patsy, at times, very few times, to me, did appear to have remorse and was actually grieving. Here, I just think it's odd how she states 2 people, and she's holding her 2 fingers up, and she tilts them along with her head, as well as sort of pulling her shoulders away from John, and she's pointing her head and her fingers towards John, and she said there's at least 2 people that know who the killer is, and she's pointing at John, and someone that killer may have confided in, and I kind of think she's like talking about herself. That's just one of the many instances where I feel Patsy was trying to leave little clues. The investigators also stated that there was a dictionary inside of John's office that was open with the corner folded with the tip of it pointing to the word incest. I also think that that was Patsy trying to tell the investigators, tell the police that that John was molesting his own daughter. I really do. I really, really do. So for number 13, I'm just going to do another linking one. This one I feel relates to number 12 that we just discussed. Just within the time frame of making this video here, I stumbled upon a website that had this document that supposedly claims, excuse me, that this document was sent to Donald Trump when he was still in office. And the document is talking about a book that Barnes & Nobles used to sell. Apparently they don't anymore. I didn't look it up because the content of the document, along with the book, I imagine, I did not read the book, but I read the entire document, and it is the hardest thing to read that I've ever forced myself to finish. The book is called, and also the name of the document is titled, "Two is Too Young to Die." That's the title of this book. Now, the book underneath, like, as for an author, the book only claims something to the effect of, "Catch me if you can, many have tried, all have failed." And it is disgusting. It's really disgusting. It's really, really hard to read, so I warn you, only read it if you have a strong stomach and are not a sensitive person. Do not go into this thinking that it's just going to be like, oh, reading a normal crime report. Trust me, it's not a crime report. It's supposedly this book, and the author, obviously, but supposedly this book was written by someone claiming to be the murderer of Jonbenét Ramsey. Now, once you read it, you will see that it's giving off the impression that John wrote it. It really does. But within this, it also talks about Patsy being a B-level actress and almost giving them away with things that she said. So I really feel that it relates to these clues that I feel Patsy was leaving. But be warned, this document is horrific, and I'm going to leave the link so that you can go read it yourself, because its actual underlying content is very graphic, and I am not going to discuss it in this video. So I've actually decided to make this like a little series, because this has already ran into 18 minutes, and I've only told you guys 13 of the things that I find weird, or things that, just my opinions about the case. So I'm going to stop it here. And if you have made it this far, you are the shit, and thank you very much. And I will be making a second one going into the rest of them, because there's quite a bit, like I said. So if you want, if you like, please like, subscribe, and share. I'm not monetized on YouTube. I do not get paid for this shit. It just comes from the passion in my heart. Something drives me to do it, so here it is. God bless.